Election 2024. Today, there were two events. One, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden announcing some legislation they just passed. The other, Donald Trump having a press conference at his golf club. Two very different vibes. In this video, we're going to compare and contrast. Do a little vibe check. And what you see is going to be very revealing. So let's get into it. I've always loved Kamala Harris. I was going to vote for her in 2020. I was an early supporter of her when she announced her presidency, and then she dropped out really early, and then Biden picked her as his VP. But I've loved Kamala Harris for the better part of 20 years, man, because she's been one of those women that, like a glass ceiling shatterer. You don't understand. Her becoming the DA of San Francisco and then the Attorney General of California and a senator, a black woman, man, she's a pioneer, bro. California politics has been a rich boys club for a long time. And she went in and was one of the early glass ceiling shatterers that I've always admired. I've always admired her because she's real and warm and compassionate, but she's also tough as nails. Smart, brilliant. And that's really one of the things that I find so problematic, Trump's little BS angle, is his constant insistence that she's low IQ is really irritating because she is brilliant. She is brilliant. She's not just, a woman who's kind of smart. She is brilliant and strategic. She was a prosecutor. She is a master strategist, and she's used those skills to rise to levels in politics that other women of color didn't rise to until after she did it. Like groundbreaking, this woman. And for him to just sit there while he's rambling about nonsense, jerking the media off, and talking about complete and utter bullshit where he doesn't even understand how the shit he's talking about works. The guy is just like, Trump is brain dead. And then he sits up there and consistently talks down about Kamala Harris like she's low IQ when he doesn't even understand how clean energy works. Like, he is seriously stupid. He is. I'd love to see them take the bar exam. Let them have a bar exam test where they both take the bar, and let's see Trump's high IQ. Let's see what he's got. Like this man here who's promising people now he's going to reduce their power bills by 70%. And everyone's like, oh, Donnie. Well, let's look at all the other shit Donnie promised. He said he was going to build a wall and Mexico was going to pay for it. That never happened. And in fact, though, Joe Biden did get Mexico to give some money towards border protection, but Donald Trump didn't. But Joe Biden did. What else did Donald Trump not do? He said he was going to have a health care plan in 2 weeks in 2016. He never did. He said drill, baby, drill, but Joe's been drilling, baby, drilling, out drilling. We're more energy independent. Donald's lying. What else did Donald not do? He said he was going to give us a good economy. He exploded the deficit. He said he was going to fix the infrastructure issues. He never did. Joe Biden passed the Infrastructure Act. Trump didn't, even though he had both houses of Congress. He promised Wisconsin the Foxconn plant, this big investment, thousands of high-paying jobs. They took pictures. They broke ground. It never happened. He turned tail. Racine got pummeled. They never got the plant. But Joe Biden got a Microsoft $3 billion investment. Donald Trump failed. He said COVID was going to go away in a few months. Nope. Failed. We got Joe and Kamala together, baby. Their first joint appearance, bro. Freedom. Hope. Dude, Trump was on one today. I don't know if you guys know, but Trump called a fake press conference, of course. He said it was an economic policy presser, and then all he did was ramble about the same nasty stuff he rambles about the whole time. That's what it was. The same thing about immigrants and trashing everything about Biden and Kamala Harris, even though the presidency has been historic. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about Biden and Harris together. Joe was on fire. Had some burners today, bro. We're going to look at some of Joe. Did you see what he said about Trump? Dude, it's so good. He said Trump ought to get a job. It's good advice. Dude, Trump needs a job. Dude, he spends too much time talking about sharks and migrants and insane asylums. Like, seriously, if you spend more than an hour a day talking about mental institutions and the border, you need to get a job or take up crocheting or something. You got to do something with your time. Look at this Chiron. Trump says finances will never recover under Harris. And then look at what's next to it. There's a Dow Jones ticker showing a record high. Dow Jones above 40,000, up 554 points today. Record highs under Biden and Harris. Continually, it has broken record after record after record. The U.S. is leading the economic recovery of the pandemic, drilling more oil than ever before. The markets have recovered. There's investment happening, infrastructure bills. And Trump is up here talking about finances will never recover. And literally right next to the Chiron, this is the right wing, where the data and the reality is literally right in front of us. And then they will stand there and say, no, not real, but, and wag their little fingers. But he's a bullshit artist. And in fact, we're still dealing with problems created by this man who blew up the deficit, mishandled the pandemic, bungled trade, removing himself from treaties, the tariffs, the stupid trade war, causing more jobs to offshore, bad tax policy, that places that voted for him, and then he ruined them, blamed it on like immigrants or Democrats. And then Biden goes in there and fixes it. Biden and Harris, let's get some hope and some freedom, shall we? Oh, look at Biden. He's got the fist, baby. The Biden fist.
It's a lot out of you to share that story, but to do it in a way that is about lifting up other people and helping, hopefully, others who are not in this room understanding how real people are impacted every day.
Dude, Kamala Harris has been doing that her whole life. In that Rolling Stone story, she tells about how one of her friends in high school told her about being sexually abused. And Kamala Harris and her family took that person in. It was like part of the stuff that made her want to go to law school, made her want to get involved in the legal profession to make a difference. She has been about helping people, helping like a community type spirit of help people who need help. That's it. That's what it is. You do that. It's humanitarian. And that has been her for the longest time, man. And I love to see it.
We can do amazing things and we can do them fast. We have to get the criminals out. We have to get them out immediately and fast and tough. We're going to rely on our local police. Our local police law enforcement has been so incredible. And they know. Somebody said, how will you get them out? How will you know? The local police know the name and serial number and middle name and last name and where they come from of every single bad guy that's come into our country.
First off, that's a lie. People don't have serial numbers. And if they're undocumented people, they don't even have a social security number. And him saying that the local police have some master list of every undocumented person in America, that's complete and utter bullshit. That's a lie. Everything he just said is a total out and out bullshit lie. And he's talking about wanting to have the local police, instead of fighting crime, guys, they're going to be out there like hunting down Mexicans, trying to find out who's undocumented. Yeah, that's going to be real good for both the crime fighting and for the experience of being Hispanic in America. Not. And how would he pay for it?
And of course, I could speak all afternoon about the person that I am standing on this stage with.
There he is, Joe B. Joe B. The Bitey. I love seeing them together, man. I do. I love seeing them together. I feel like we really need Joe. We do. We need Joe in this campaign, right? We need him.
Few leaders in our nation have done more on so many issues, including to expand access to affordable
historic
healthcare.
Presidency. Dude, and vice presidency too with Obama. Like,
and today we take the next step. Thank you, Joe.
And think about this, guys. I do want to point out something that is just a little known, little talked about aspect of Joe Biden. And you know what it is, guys? It's evolution of one's belief system. Because the guy's old. He came into a world where segregation was the norm, where racism was normal and kind of accepted. Even if it wasn't overt KKK stuff, it was this idea of, white people being the superior race, specifically white men. That was the world he was raised in. And in his early political career, he was friends with and did business with a lot of those racist Southern senators that had been Southern Democrats that then switched to the Republican Party in the 60s. He was part of the world of accepting those people at a time when they didn't have any pushback for the way they were. But the way the man has evolved to be the vice president for the first black man who was president, to pick a black and Southeast Asian woman as his vice president and then step down to elevate her in order to win a critical election, nominating the first black Supreme Court justice. Like, this is a man who came into a world where segregation was the norm, and he evolved beyond that to have some historic gains for people of color that he helped be a part of making happen. And to me, that's really powerful, because you can't help it if you were raised to believe a certain way, but you can help what you do with those beliefs and how you choose to challenge them and outgrow them. And it's in stark contrast to somebody like Donald Trump, whose dad hung out at KKK meetings, and who Donald Trump was, busted for not renting to black people and lying and telling them there were no vacancies in the 70s and 80s, to Donald Trump making up the birther stuff about the black president, saying nasty shit about the Central Park Five, and still to this day, he goes to the NABJ and says, I was doing him a favor, and then he insults them all and starts talking about black jobs, and then says, I got a criminal record now, black people are gonna love me. Like, he's still so cluelessly racist and such a shithead 50 years later. Like, Trump has not changed. And in fact, he seems to have gotten worse. And that's a big difference in the type of men these guys are.
Many of your allies who want you to win in November say your current strategy isn't working, that you need to stop with the personal attacks on Kamala Harris and deliver a more disciplined message. Do you agree? And also, you added more people to your campaign today. Yeah. Is that a sign of a shifting strategy?
No, I think it's a sign of we want to close it out. We have great people. Susie is fantastic, as you know, and Chris is fantastic.
Dude, he brought Corey Lewandowski back, who, by the way, is alcoholic, had an affair with Kristi Noem. Corey Lewandowski is not a good human being. He's nasty.
Fantastic. They're leading it.
He brought him back.
Corey Lewandowski's coming in. He'll be, personal envoy, or he'll be at some level. They're going to be, they're doing a great job. Look, we've taken, with all of the abuse we've taken from the fake news media, all of this horrific abuse we take, and all I want to do is make the country good. All I want to do is...
See that right here, what he's going to say, though, is he's saying that with all the abuse he's taken, he's allowed to be abusive, is his little train here on this answer. With all the abuse he's taken, he's allowed to be abusive. But you see his line here of what he's doing? He's saying all the abuse I've received from the fake news media, he says, or the criminal justice system, he's allowed to be nasty.
Have strong borders and good education. We want to have choice for education. Someone put so many.
We want to have choice for abortion. No, you don't.
The military. We did so many great things.
No, you didn't.
That's the way it's been for Republicans, and I guess more so for me than anybody in history, and that's okay. Because we're leading in the polls. For the most part, we're leading in the polls.
No, you're not.
We're leading Biden by a lot. We're leading now, but
no, you're not.
When she's exposed, I think we're going to beat her.
She's not going to be exposed. She's going to clean your clock.
A lot more than we would have beaten Biden by. Because he had a little group of people that have been voting for him for a long time.
They're going to vote for Kamala.
People don't know who she is.
People love her.
Personal attacks because of what she's done to the country. I'm very angry at her that she'd weaponized the justice system against me and.
Dude, how she didn't weaponize the justice system? She's the vice president. What is she talking about? He donated to her campaign. Now he's saying he's angry at her because she has weaponized the justice system against him. Yeah, I thought it was Biden that did that, or Fani Willis, or Alvin Briggs, right, or Merrick Garland.
Very angry at her. I think I'm entitled to personal attacks.
Yes, there's the point right there. He thinks he is entitled to personal attacks. And he thinks that about everybody,
I don't
guys.
have a lot of respect for
Newsflash.
her. I don't have a lot of respect for her intelligence. And I think
She passed the bar exam, graduated from law school, was the Attorney General of California. Donald Trump barely eked it out through school, needed his daddy to get a
she'll be
diploma.
a terrible president. And I think it's very important.
She's going to be
that
an
we
amazing
win.
president.
And whether the personal attacks are good, bad, I mean, she certainly attacks me personally. She actually called me weird. He's
Oh, yeah. You are weird, Donald Trump. You are weird, bro.
weird. It was just a soundbite.
Yeah.
And she called JD and I weird.
Yeah, JD is very weird, and you
Not
are
He
weird.
was a great student at Yale. He went to Ohio State.
That's not questioning his intelligence. That's saying that, you know, he makes people uncomfortable. Oh, Trumpy.
2 years ago, as vice president, I was proud to cast the tie-breaking vote that sent...
Let's go. Dude, she's a doer.
that gave Medicare the power to negotiate and let it get to the president's desk. And I was proud when our president, Joe Biden, signed that bill into law.
Let's go. Dude, yeah, the price of medication is nuts.
In the 2 years since, we've been using this new power to lower the price of life-saving medications, and now to announce the result of those negotiations. It is my eternal and great, great, great honor, I have to tell you, to serve with this most extraordinary human being and American and leader, our President, Joe Biden.
Let's go. Dude, that's amazing. It's so heartwarming seeing that, you know, the respect and the care. And it's really interesting to think about how she's Joe Biden's vice president. He stepped aside to elevate her. Donald Trump's vice president, Mike Pence, won't even speak to him anymore because he tried to hang him for not breaking the Constitution. It's a very stark difference of people.
Two quick questions here. Nikki Haley told our Brett Baer that Republicans need to stop whining about Kamala Harris, focus on courting those independents, those suburban women, the moderates out there. What do you think of that strategy, and would you consider having Nikki Haley on the campaign trail with you?
Sure. I think that we've done very well. I think that we're hitting a nerve. I think
We're hitting
this is
a nerve.
different kind of a race. All we have to do is define our opponent as being a communist or a socialist or somebody that's going to destroy our country. You know, I fought.
Yikes. That's what he says, dude. What is that soundbite? All we have to do is define our opponent as being a communist or a socialist or somebody that's going to destroy our country. Okay, thank you, Trumpy, for showing us how transparently fraudulent you are. He's like standing there just saying, oh yeah, we're going to create some bullshit narrative to try and define our opponent. Dude, what an idiot, bro.
I think relatively to what they're doing and how radical they are and how in many
Radical
ways
they
how
are?
sick they are.
Yeah, they want
I think
people
I'm
to
doing a
not
very
be
calm
sick.
campaign. I mean,
That's
we're here, there's no
radical.
shouting. Now you'll say he ranted and raved.
Dude, you do rant, right?
But some of you will say he ranted.
Yeah, you do rant because you're a bitch. You're an orange bitch.
Why are prescription drugs so expensive?
Yeah.
I will
Greed.
tell you. Well, one big reason is for years, Big Pharma has often inflated the price of life-saving medications.
Yeah, it's called greed is what it is. It's hugely about greed. They know if people need this or they're going to die, let's just soak them.
Often charging many times what it would cost to make just to increase their profits. And millions of Americans have suffered as a result. My entire career, I have worked to hold bad actors accountable and lower the cost of prescription drugs. As Attorney General of California, I took on pharmaceutical companies
Let's go.
for deceptive marketing and
Yeah.
illegally inflating the cost of drugs. And we won
Let's
billions
go.
of dollars. As a United States Senator, I fought to pass laws that would make health care more affordable and accessible for all Americans.
Dude, she
And
is
as Vice
badass.
President, together
I don't care
with
what
Joe
anyone
Biden,
says.
Our president, we finally I addressed the long-standing issue that for years, but Medicare represents more than 65 million people. And so Medicare has collective bargaining power. And now Medicare can use that power to go toe-to-toe with Big Pharma and negotiate lower drug prices.
Let's go. Yeah. Let's go, baby.
Thank you, Joe.
Kamala Harris is a radical California liberal who broke the economy, broke the border, and broke the world, frankly.
Broke the economy, broke the border, and broke the world. Kamala Harris did as VP. Wow, dude. No offense, but I mean, whether you like her or not, if that woman has the power to break the world, I think she should be president. Don't you want the president to be somebody who can break the world? Or do you want the president to be some crybaby bitch who stands in front of some coffee containers crying about America being the third world country? I mean, who's more powerful? A woman who can break the whole world, or some dude who stands in front of a box of Honey Nut Cheerios and says, America's a shithole? I mean, honestly, dude, Trump did. He broke the toilet.
But this time, we finally beat Big Pharma. And I might add, with no help from Republicans, not a single Republican voted for this bill, period. Not
of course they
didn't. The
didn't.
entire Congress.
Not one Republican.
The reason I say that is not to make a political point about them, if they had gotten their lesson, but guess what? They want to, the guy we're running against, what's his name? Donald Dump or Donald whatever.
Donald Dump.
They want to get rid of this, what we passed. They're fighting to get rid of what we've just passed. No, I'm serious.
Donald Dump.
I'm wondering, have you put much thought into why God saved your life? As in, for what purpose has he been shielding and protecting you?
So, I don't know if you heard the question. You've spoken about God saving your life. That I've spoken passionately about it. And something happened because that was a
He's spoken passionately about it.
miracle. I never looked that way.
Yeah, he never looks that way. It was a miracle, Donnie. It was a miracle. It's a miracle. God wanted you to survive so you could call Kamala Harris low intelligence and ramble in front of a box of Honey Nuts and Oats.
It was massive, and it was in front of me.
So other people could take the bullets for you, and you could be
Have the
a shitter.
That particular graph. That was a graph on, as you all know, now that it's very. I think
Dude,
everyone
he
knows it
uses
very
that
well, but it
graph
showed
at
the great
every
number of
rally.
Immigration. It was the lowest point we've ever had.
Because the border was closed because of COVID, which was also when gas was cheap because no one was driving, because we were all locked up, because 80,000 people a month were dying, because Donald Trump was mishandling the pandemic, because Donald Trump was lying about it, saying it was going to be over soon, and then yelling at reporters while not being accountable and telling us to, eat cow fertilizer and shine a light in the body.
And it was one that I use less than 20% of the time. It's always at the end of the speech, not at the beginning of the speech. And it's always on the left side, not the right side. And yet, for some reason, I called it. It's not on a teleprompter. I do things largely without a teleprompter.
Yeah, we
frankly.
can tell because you just
It's hard to
ramble.
hold an audience if you're going to go for an hour and a half.
And you don't hold the audience. You always speak too long. Everybody leaves 5 minutes into your rallies.
2
Thank
hours
you. We
reading-
have the video
reading a
footage
script.
showing it.
And
Thank you,
I just
though,
talked
Donnie.
about it, and I moved to my right, turned sharply to my right. Ping.
Yeah. All right.
And if I didn't do that, I'm
Get
not
to
here
the
with you.
question.
So, yeah, God has something to do with it. It's a miracle.
Oh.
And God had something to do with it. And
God
maybe
is
it's
doing.
we want to
God is doing dirty things to me right now, Donnie.
save the world. This world.
Save
is
the
going down.
world?
We want to.
That's Trumpy.
It's a miracle, and God had something to do with it. And maybe it's we want to save the world. This world is going down.
This
world is going down.
Dude,
So-
Donald Trump is going to save the world. Think about that, guys. Just in and of itself. All right, let's forget about all of his policy, all of the shit that he says. Take away the policy, your political leanings, whatever. If you look at a person who stands at a podium that says they're going to save the world, that person is up. and they're lying. There is no one person that saves the world. That is a giant red flag being waved. That yes, he's a sociopath. He's a megalomaniac. He is a person who is like not functioning as a representative of government. He's like thinking he's some sort of a Christ-like figure. Delusions of grandeur, like way, way, way stepping outside the bounds. Every normal human being, even the ones doing great things in politics, are going to just tell you they're just men. They're fallible men. They don't have all the answers. They're just working hard to coalesce, data and strategies to try and help the world. But this guy, he's just, been sent to save the world.